mention to everybody where we're at?
Yeah. So right now we are week 9. Obviously, is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, I'm just catching everybody up. So look, we're
Yeah.
going to be, yeah, what we're covering today.
Yeah. So we're gonna be going over Thursday night's game. We'll also be talking, taking your start sit questions. Also your trade away and trade for targets, including that information. But again, like Billy said, we're gonna be covering the most controversial um, TikTok viral video that we had in this draft season that covers math and fantasy football and averages and all that fun stuff, and prove to you that it works if you follow a system. Now, Billy, there are players that fall in your lap in the ninth, 10th, 11th round, but running backs are so important to draft super early in drafts. No?
Yes, absolutely. And first of all, they're the most important position as we talk about it throughout the year.
Yep.
And if anybody doesn't understand why, we're going to go over the math of that today. And by the way, it's part of the reason why if anybody watches our waiver shows, we spend the vast majority of every single waiver show talking about running backs, breaking down every single position. So we're going to cover that today for sure.
Yeah. So again, we appreciate everybody that's on here. I know it's a slow trend tonight, but I assume it's going to pick up in a little bit. We get into those wiener hours in the night, but we do appreciate everybody that's here. You guys can drop your comments if you have any start sit questions, trade away questions with your start sits. If it's a quarterback, make sure that you ask 4 points per touchdown, 6 points per touchdown, so we could give you the correct direction. And also, if it's a positional player, if obviously half point PPR, full point PPR standard, or if there's any stipulations with tight ends, so on and so forth. So ask your questions away. We will get to all of your questions, every single one of your questions, like we did last week. We will go until 1 a.m. if needed. We pile them up. We will get to them and enjoy the show. All right.
You want to get to the Thursday night breakdown here?
Yeah, let's talk about Thursday. I'm excited for this game. Finally.
Let's do that. Let's do this. We got the Baltimore Ravens at the Miami Dolphins. Baltimore minus 7.5 points. The over-under there from FanDuel is 50.5 points. So obviously they're expecting Lamar to be back, and Lamar will be back. No more shenanigans from John Harbaugh. And we got a lot of players in this game. Must starts on the Ravens side: Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, Lamar Jackson. Must starts on the Dolphins side: Devon Achane and Jalen Waddle. We have no probably starts in this game. So, Tommy, I have a question for you. Are there any other options you're willing to play in this game?
Well, I do like some. I am fairly interested in our boy Isaiah Likely this week. I think he's going to have his week that we've been waiting for. Andrews, we both feel is he's on the trade block. I think that we think he's gonna move, and he hasn't been much this year, or he hasn't been much past recent couple of years. But I do think that Likely is now back and he's ready to go, and I think he's somebody that you can get some pretty good opportunity from this week.
Yeah, so just to clear up on the math of what you just said about Mark Andrews, we talked about it on the waiver show. Mm-hmm. So since week 4, Mark Andrews is the tight end 32. That's why we identified him as a drop candidate. But to make matters worse, to your point, he's a drop candidate on top of the fact of Likely's presence, etc. So now let's be clear about what we're saying. We're not saying, oh my God, we have to throw him in. We're saying, listen, if you don't really have any of the top 10, 12 tight end options or something, or if you don't have anybody that you're going to put in there, if you want to take that shot, maybe this could be a breakout game for Likely. And we should be clear about when the trade deadline is. It's November 9th. So maybe they're going to want to feature Likely more, make sure Andrews doesn't get hurt, and then Andrews gets traded. Or maybe we all eat crow and Andrews stays there for the rest of the year. So it's a shot. We know that, but I agree with your sentiment that it could be a nice game, especially when the Ravens have implied 29 implied points.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a very interesting game. I think, honestly, on both sides, it's going to be pretty good. I'm actually thinking about starting Tua this week, potentially. I know I said that on Tuesday's show, there's a possibility that I may be looking at him. I think it's a really nice matchup, for him, especially based on what he did last week. Now, I don't want to chase last week's production, but again, if Tua is on a hot streak, you're obviously playing Waddle. Achane caught a touchdown through the air. They are playing a really, I'll say they are playing slightly better Baltimore, but again, they got speed on that offense with Miami, and I'm still not taking them away from that.
I understand, and I said something on the waiver show that I'd like to semi-retract. So I identified the Ravens defense as an emergency defense play this week. I don't think I can justify that. I think both teams are going to put up a lot of points, and I could see Tua having a decent game, although it is the most petrifying thing.
It is petrifying, but honestly, for the past 2 weeks starting Baker Mayfield, and now he's on bye, I pretty much can say, I could play with the fire a little bit and, take an opportunity there.
Yeah, well, play with the fire as you will. And for everybody listening, keep an eye on Ollie Gordon, who's, turning into a extremely high value handcuff.
Yeah.
And keep an eye on his usage and, any health issues from HM. So. For
sure. And as we move on to the next subject, again, I'm just going to reiterate, just drop your comments in there. We will get to them as quickly as we can once we finish all this information.
Yes, sir. Do we want to address our viral video and
yes.
bolster the math here?
Yes. We're not talking about the viral TikTok video that we thought was going to go viral with the violins yesterday. We're talking about the one that we got, there was a lot of people out there thinking that the information we were putting out there is not accurate, but I mean now we're at week 9. The information's out there, and we took years and years of information, and here it is again. So Billy, take the floor.
Absolutely. So we made the completely audacious claim, amazingly, at the beginning of draft season, and when we were providing draft strategy to everybody, we made the claim that running backs are more valuable early, but wide receivers hold their value better later. And apparently just by making that statement, we annoyed half of the fantasy community online. Here's some things that we didn't say. We didn't say never draft a wide receiver early. We didn't say never draft a running back late. Those are things we didn't say. But what we said was, in general, the trends say that this is a fact that holds true. And if you think about why, it's simple supply and demand. Teams start multiple wide receivers at a time, but there's only one running back on any given play. Again, generally speaking, you have more relevant wide receivers across the board, but the running backs who are super great are so great. Those are the big bell cows, but how many of those can you name? Maybe on 1 to 2 hands, maybe.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to get into the math of this, but do you think that there's a thing where people maybe it's like, oh my God, now I can't defend drafting Puka early or something like that?
I think that's the thing. Like, people probably maybe just didn't read into it. They kind of it went over a lot of people's heads. It's very clear running backs hold their value, and you can't say running backs get injured faster. That's not true. We've seen it this year. We've seen it multiple times that your number one wide receiver, your number one tight end in a onesie position, gets injured almost as consistently as a running back. Now, running backs do, get a lot more touches, so they're more prone. But again, they get injured around almost the same equal amount of time. No?
I would say it depends on how you look at it. First
of all, it depends on the usage. A running back is used to 20-plus touches. Let's just say 18 to 20 touches. If they're getting 30-plus touches, now you're getting into a really, really red zone right there.
Yeah, and I would say, if you're that risk-averse, just in general about, by definition, I'm not going to draft a running back because they're higher. If that's how you feel, then I don't know how many fantasy football titles you're winning. You have to take risks in general to just go win a title. You have to call your shots in general.
Yeah.
And also wide receivers get injured. And for the record, the only running backs that are out touching wide receivers are generally the bell cows that you want on your team anyway.
Yeah. And I will say this: I know Billy's going to get into some really awesome math to break things down. But I'm gonna, before we get into that, and I also, after he goes through that, I do have some specs on points right now for the season, so we can maybe lighten your eyes a little bit on it. But you got to look at it from this perspective. The average ADP, right, overall through every single fan, and we don't draft atypically all the time on ADP. Early on we do, and then we take our shots here and there. But if you look at the ADP of the top 15 running backs, so the top 15 running backs, only 5 out of the top 15 are now are basically in the top 15 as a running back. So it's tough. It's tough to 5 out of the 15 were not in the top 15. Sorry. So 10 out of the 15 were in that are in the top 15. If you go to wide receivers, 10 out of the 15 were not in the top 15. So there's only 5 wide receivers in that top 15 that held its value at this point. Billy, do you agree? I mean, like, it just shows you, like, that's 50. That's 100% more.
Yeah. Now, for the record, let's be clear about this, because we don't want to be captured just by 1 year. Like, generally, like, the stats that I had looked at when we did the original video, and also just reviewing the stats now, we have to be clear that we're not captured just by 1 year.
Correct.
We have to be clear about that we're looking at trends in the last 5 to 6, 7 years or whatever. So to be clear, what you're talking about now is predictability at the position that you're talking about. And the reason why what you're saying is, generally speaking, the fantasy community is better at predicting things with running backs, because you know who's the starting running back. You know who's going to get the touches, at least at the bell cow stage, at the very top, that kind of thing. It's harder to identify consistency as you move down the line, whereas it's easier to identify shots at wide receivers as you go down the line, because there's more to choose from, there's more guys, and also the main thing, to your point, Tommy, is that you get way more inconsistency even with very good wide receivers than you do at running back. It's just the nature of wide receivers, how the NFL works, passes in general. So there are 2 elements to this when we talk about the math of it. There is a predictability aspect, which is in favor of what we're saying, and most importantly, there is a results aspect, which is what we're going to talk about.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So any other comments, or we're ready for some numbers here?
Let's get into the numbers. I mean, that's the most important thing right now. To make sure everybody understands, we're not just throwing this out of our butt. Like, this is what it is. So let's get into it.
Yeah. So I'm going to reference half point PPR. However, apparently when I said that in the viral video, earlier in the summer, it aggravated everybody. Some people said, I've never even heard of half PPR. You lost me at half PPR. I don't know.
Dude, even my mom reached out to me and was like, I don't even play half point PPR.
Yeah, well, everybody can understand that the most common format at the moment on the entire online fantasy community is half point PPR. However, just to appease everybody, I do have some commentary on full point PPR and standard. But let's just, for our base little calculations, let's talk half point PPR. All right, so what was our initial claim? That running backs are more valuable early, but that wide receivers hold their value better later. So let's illustrate this. In half-point PPR, as of right now, the running back 12 is Breece Hall with 101 points, and the running back 36 is Ken Gainwell with 58 points. Whereas the wide receiver 12 right now is Devontae Smith with 93, and the wide receiver 36 is Marvin Harrison with 64 points. Now, the Breece Hall is 101 and Smith is 93. Breece Hall is 8 points higher than Devontae Smith. Gainwell is 58, Harrison 64. Harrison is 8 points higher than Gainwell. The point I'm trying to illustrate there, and I know it's hard for people to see it, is that there's a graph there, and we're just talking about the running back 12 and the running back 36. So there's a graph of fantasy finishes where at some point running backs are just more valuable than wide receivers, but then it crosses the axis of the performances of the top 30, 40, 50 wide receivers, and at some point it crosses. in half point PPR, it generally starts happening around, somewhere in the wide receiver 3 range, which coincidentally is right among the guys that you would be playing at flex, which is generally speaking why people be playing wide receivers at their flexes. So before I go on with the math, does that hold true to what you think?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, it has to, because that's why the math is there. I mean, anybody could look up like where people are when it comes down to their points for the year, and if you look at the average draft position throughout the beginning of the year, it's just right there. It's information you can find anywhere, and it's 100%. I agree with everything you're saying right there.
Yeah. And so to illustrate this point even further, just to show the dichotomy, I went ahead and I did the averages. So as of right now, the average of the running backs 1 through 12 is 133 points. The average of the wide receivers 1 through 12 is 108 points. That difference is nearly 30 points. That's gigantic, especially halfway through the year. Whereas the average of the running backs 25 through 36 is at 66. The wide receivers 25 through 36 is at 72. That's a 6-point difference on average of every single running back and wide receiver in that range. So it holds true that you need to be hitting the running backs early in the draft when you're making trades, the guys that you know that are going to be getting you value, because as you start going down the line, I mean, then you start, annoyingly having to throw in random running backs here and there to get you absolute crap every single week. And everybody who's been playing guys like JCM, for example, knows how bad that is.
Yep.
So it's why you want to have the guys there. Now, to illustrate that point further, okay, and again, for everybody who we lost at half point PPR, this dichotomy is even more pronounced in full PPR. Full PPR does nothing except help the wide receivers at the top be a bit more relevant. So, for example, the running back 12 in full is still Breece at 111. The wide receiver 12 in full is Devontae at 110. Very, very close. But the running back 36 is Kareem Hunt at 68. The wide receiver 36 is Nico Collins at 77. It's almost 10 points halfway through the year, just on the quick 2-second analysis that you could do yourself. You'll find the same thing in standard, although running backs are even more valuable in standard than they are, and they hold their value even better till the lower parts of the tiers.
Yep.
So we can throw 1,000,000 pounds of math at you guys, but the point is it's accurate. It is what it is. It's why it's better to take more shots at wide receivers later, because after the top guys go, the running backs are bad.
No, 100%. I mean, that's why it's super important to really focus and do a deep dive in that, because if you don't, I'll ask you guys, everybody that's in this chat right now, can you give me, legit, and let's not, let's be real here. If you went heavy wide receiver, right, and you didn't get a DeAndre Swift, who technically is right now, a high-ranked guy, or a Javonte Williams, who is a high-ranked guy. If you weren't able to get one of those guys, or a Judkins, where are you right now in your rankings? Are you, are you in playoff position? Because I'll tell you something right now. It's very important for you guys. Again, we don't, we play this for fun, but again, there's bragging rights and there's money involved, right? So we don't want to just throw away money. Now, again, is it a lot of money? I don't know. It depends on your league and everything. But, I know that we obviously do this not for a living, because if we did this for a living, we'd be, have a little bit better production value, and Billy's face would be on here. But, we will, make you understand. We take a lot of pride in this, and we're not just like throwing this stuff out there. So I'm telling you something right now. Going into next year, if you just use our strategy. Just use the strategy, and I guarantee you'll cash out. You'll cash in. You just got to focus. And you not only that, but you really, it's not, the games are not won by the draft, right? Your games are not won just specifically by the draft. You have to follow the games every single week and see who's being productive, right? That's where the waivers come in. That's why we have these shows that we drop, and we give you that information to really focus on that. And you can pick up one of those guys, say if you fudged basically by your draft. It is what it is. Sometimes people get sniped. And, for example, if 7 running backs go back to back to back, you're not going to pass on Jamar Chase there, but you got to take running backs after that, right, Billy?
Absolutely. And, we practice what we preach. And also, for the record, it does matter the kind of league. So I remember telling Tommy in draft season that I was going to be taking Bijan number 1 overall in any single league, in any single format, except if there was a league that was full PPR and it was either starting 3 wide receivers or there was a double flex, in that case, yeah, I'll take Jamar Chase in that case. So we practice what we preach. And for the record, in our high stakes league that you guys feel free to go check out on YouTube, we have the live stream of, which was a start 3 wide receiver, and it was a full PPR. And we went running back, even though that format in rounds 1 and 2.
Yep.
And we're in second place, 20 points out of first place.
Yeah, I mean, and then not only that, but behind that we got Metcalf, we got Waddle, we have value. We have value at our wide receiver that we were able to generate, and have stability. So it's just the most important thing is balancing your roster, but then also making sure that you have a foundation of a running back. And if you don't have that.
And I wanted to say one thing, Tommy, just to bolster. You said such a good thing. I just wanted to bolster that point. So just think of it yourselves, just as we're playing now. We're in week 9, and you're looking at your waiver wire, and you're looking at guys you want to get, and you're looking at stuff. Like, how excited are you guys for Troy Franklin and for Kayshon Boutte? And how excited are you for, Blake Corum or something? You know what I'm saying? Like, who's available on the waiver wire. Like, it is so easy to find wide receivers, to get good shots in, to take a good spot start, Tez Johnsons, etc. And even during the draft, you could take lots of shots. So the point was, a lot of people criticized us for being like, watch me draft my Jamar Chase early and I'll be fine later on with, my Swift or Judkins. I'm like, okay, but did you identify that beforehand? Did you know that exactly? Are you 100% accurate every single time? The point is, the more shots you take, the more chances you get, and predictability matters. So what Tommy said at the very beginning about where you can identify guys that are going to finish in the range that you get them, for sure, you need to get those running backs early.
Yep, for sure. Anything else you got for this?
No, I could talk about the math all day long, and everybody can see the face that they can't see screaming about this, but I'm not going to do that.
Well, I'll say this, just to give you a little, insight on this. You talk about wide receivers. You got Keenan Allen, the number 4, basically in PPR right now, the number 4 in red zone stats. And I want to talk about red zone stats real quick. Keenan Allen was pretty much going in the 10th, 11th round. His ADP was 59th. So 59th right there, right? Keenan Allen he's scoring 29.1 points just inside the 20, this year. And, obviously he's been productive. He's been very productive. He's a high-end RB2, wide receiver 2. I will say that's going to start fading, I think. And, you have to sell him high, right? When we get into the trade away, we talked about him last week, but I think this is the time when you need to really get some value for him. It could, and again, that could bite you, but you could get some better return value if with a younger player. Another player I want to talk about red zone stats right now. The number 3 running back is basically Javonte Williams.
Amazingly,
it's amazing, man. He right now has 59.3 fantasy points inside the 20. 59.3. He has 7 touchdowns on the ground. Now, again, that really dissipated a lot. 7 touchdowns on the ground, 1 through the 7 touchdowns on the ground, 1 through the air. So that really took away from Dak's production. But again, there's going to be a reversal at some point because the defense for the Cowboys is not that great. They really, and I think that Javonte Williams is slightly slowing a little bit. I don't think he's going to. I mean, again, he is a good running back. I believed in him. He was somebody that we talked about heavily in the offseason. Unfortunately, I was not able to snag him in any leagues, and it paid off beautifully for people that wait, basically got him as an RB3 or potentially 4 on your roster because you took those 2 running backs earlier on that are now stable, and now you're just winning your league.
Yeah. There's an endless amount of examples we could show this endlessly. So,
Yeah.
I mean, like, we can rock and roll all day long. And by the way, if anybody wants to see any fun graphs, we also have a graph video on our on our YouTube page.
Yes, Billy made a graph video and I did a graph short. So we're graphed out here.
Yeah, we are a pair of fantasy football guys who love numbers. So happy to share with everybody.
Yep. So you want to get into some of the players and stuff like that potentially are tradeaway targets, or do you want to get into some of the questions?
Let's keep I want to get to questions, so let's keep our further commentary to a minimum here, I think.
Okay. So I mean, we don't have a ton of questions right now. We have a handful right now. But I will remind you guys, those of you that are in this show right now, if you can please drop your start sit questions, drop your trade away targets, trade for targets, trade away targets. We will basically be covering them. So we're going to start from the top. We're going to work our way down. Some of them, if we have to articulate a little bit more in depth, we will. Some of them might be a lot easier for us to say, all right, go that route, right? So the first question we got here is Gadsden or Bowers, Billy?
Oh my gosh.
So it's a tough one, man. It's asking that. And let me give a little insight on this one. So Gadsden obviously has been very productive the past couple weeks, and he's definitely got Herbert's eye. I will say this, Bowers has been out for a little while. He hasn't done anything since pretty much week 1 because of the MCL sprain that he had week 2. I think, you may want to play Bowers, but I personally say stick with Gadsden another week and see how Bowers is, and then that's when you throw Bowers in the mix. What do you think?
I'm going to be honest with you. I 100% agree with you, and the way you illustrated it is exactly what I would say. I think Bowers is going to have a good game. I think he's going to be back to normal. However, we talk about everything in percentages. There's a percent chance that he's still not 100%, might not be the best. So why don't you rock and roll with essentially the best athlete in football right now in Gadsden? So keep it going with him, I would say.
Okay. All right, so I just responded to that as well too, because I'm not sure if Colin Ballard is in here, but I responded to that one right there.
So I have just for fun for our thing while more questions come in. So I wanted to mention we might do this just for fun. I might throw in a trade for, trade away. So I have an interesting trade for candidate for you.
We're gonna do a live trade right now?
No, we're not. So I have a trade for. So me with running backs. I am obsessed with running back schedules because to me it's a mark of opportunity for guys, especially for running backs with good schedules who have been underperforming or who had a bad game recently. And I want to highlight Quinshon Judkins here.
Yeah.
So Quinshon Judkins just had a dud this past game, and he had the slight injury concern, so people might be getting a little scared. However, the Cleveland Browns coming out of their bye have the second best running back schedule going forward. So if you want a chance at it, you could probably sell the injury scare, the dud, the fact that they're in a bye week. You could probably go get yourself some Quinshon Judkins, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm actually, as we're doing this right now, I'm texting a guy that wanted CMC on my team for some BS, and I'm going to actually see if I could get Judkins from him.
Well, see if you get Judkins plus, because it's CMC.
Exactly. No, I know.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing here, guys. I know. Mm-hmm. I know. This one guy was trying to trade me basically CMC straight up for. I would trade CMC for Lamar Jackson, and I laughed and I hung up my phone. The next question we got here is Stephon Diggs or Mr. Chasin' That Boutte?
I am going to say Boutte, and
Yep.
I know you agree. Why don't you sing Boutte's praises here?
Boutte has been so good. He's been so good the past couple weeks. Pretty much he's been. Actually, I'll say he's been so good this. Since week 16 last year. Now he's been hot and cold here and there. He's not getting crazy targets, but like we said, there's a difference between getting a ton of targets, but then there's also a difference between being productive with the targets you receive, and he is being productive with the targets he receives. Right now, let me just pull this up right here. And I got it right here.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so Kayshon Boutte, for the last 3, he's the wide receiver 2 in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, no, I know that. And that's the big thing right there. And obviously he had some big numbers. Obviously, and like I just said, he's being productive with what he's been receiving. And that's very important. If you're being productive with what you're receiving, it's almost as good as getting targets, right? Like, yes, unfortunately, some people are not spreading the ball. Some quarterbacks are not, they're spreading the ball a little bit more, and they're not hyper targeting a player, and that could be a good thing because now he has a little bit more. He's playing one-on-one coverage, or they're playing zone against these teams that basically you're spreading the ball. So it's an open thing where he can actually be a deep threat, and he's getting those 40+ yard touchdowns. So I think he's a really, really good person to play, and I think I don't think really you think about it. Diggs right now for me is a name. Now Diggs could have a better game, but if you want stability, go Boutte.
I 100% agree. 100% agree.
All right, so we're gonna move on.
Before we get into the next one, I have a trade away. If
sure.
You'd like.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so like we just talked about running backs with good matchups, I thought I would mention a running back with a really bad matchup, and I think at this point you will not get higher value than perceived value ever for the rest of the year than on Tyrone Tracy.
Yeah.
So the New York Giants have the absolute worst running back schedule coming up. Absolute worst, and it's not close. It's like factors of a difference with the numbers. And after Cam Scadabough's horrific injury, everybody was excited to get Tyrone Tracy. If he was on the waiver wire, the perceived value on him as the starting running back for a team is gigantic. You could probably trade him and make a serious upgrade, and now's the time to do it before they start, dudding their way to the next couple games.
Yeah, I mean, you and I were talking about this, especially in the league that we're in. There was, we have 500 fab. Right now we have about 450 left, and if he was on there, we probably would have spent like 300 or 350 fab. So like 70% of our fab just to get him to trade him away.
We just
just to package him to trade him away.
Well, you should also take we talked about it too, about the Cam Scadabow. If he hadn't gotten injured, you would have been looking at Cam Scadabow as a trade away yourself.
Well, exactly. I mean, like we said last week, I did bring this up before the game, so I'm not gonna say like this wasn't said or anything like that, right, Billy? But like we did identify this last week as Scadabow being a trade away target because it's gonna start getting into that really, really tough part of the season. Now he was productive and all that stuff, and it's great. He was scoring touchdowns, but again, his yards were dissipating from what they were. He was getting the touchdowns that was keeping him afloat for fantasy. But he was definitely a trade-away target that I was trying to move. I was trying to trade him for Saquon Barkley, who was underperforming, and I did have a conversation with a couple people for that. And it didn't turn out right. Unfortunately, they wanted a little bit more because they couldn't get over the name at that point. But again, you may find somebody that's just really getting frustrated with the player, and you could move them. So that's
absolutely.
It's unfortunately, Billy says I'm the greatest salesman in the world when it comes down to fantasy football, right? It is what it is. You have to sell it to get it, and if you don't sell it, you won't get it. I'll say this.
Oh my God!
You miss. This is a sale. I am in sales. I'm a sales manager. But like you miss every shot you don't take. And Michael Jordan said that.
You're a walking poster.
Right? Hey, but it's true though. If you don't send out trades, yes, you're going to send out trades that people are like upset about and get butthurt that you're sending them a trade. Sometimes it's just a conversation starter, or sometimes somebody's not the spread. Excuse me. Sometimes somebody's not the brightest bulb, and they click accept, and they move on, and it gets passed. So it is what it is. But let's move on to the next question.
Yes, let's move to the next question.
So the next question is, which two do I play this week? Davante Adams Zay Flowers, Marvin Harrison, and Vidal. Well,
Well,
you are playing Vidal.
you must have a great team, dude. Whoever was asking this question,
Yeah.
is this better? Is this a 8-man league or something?
I
But
don't
let's just
know.
answer the question as it
Rick
is.
N's asking this question. So I personally think Vidal is somebody I would go based on the. I haven't been really keen on Vidal, but with the offensive line playing better and his production being consistent, I'll go Vidal as my first one there, and then my second one. I still am not on the Flowers train, and I know Billy's gonna jump in after this.
No. Given I'm on the Flowers train, but of those options, I agree with you. Flowers would be the easiest one to not play.
Yeah. Now I'm between Devontae Adams and Marvin Harrison.
I don't know how you sit Marvin Harrison playing the Dallas Cowboys.
And the Rams are playing.
They're home against the Saints. I'm going to be honest with you. I would go Devontae Adams and Marvin Harrison there.
You're going to sit Vidal?
I think I would sit Vidal. Again, it's. I think you can't go wrong there. For the person listening, you could choose any of those three. I would just forget Flowers, and then you go what you think. Gut feeling on those.
Yeah,
three.
I mean, take out Flowers again. He's playing Thursday. If he's a dud, then you're starting in the hole. Again, but you'd be starting in full start if you felt that way. But I think with the players that you have, you can just say, I'm moving on from Flowers this week. I personally would, Vidal and then flip a coin with Devontae Adams and Harrison. Billy is on the Devontae Adams and Harrison train. I don't know if you guys, if this is a standard league, if this is a full point PPR. I assume it's a full point PPR. So if it's a full point PPR, I will be on Billy's side. But if it's half point PPR or standard, I'd be Vidal and coin flip to Harrison or Devontae Adams.
For the record, all four of these guys are probably going to be in our must start category this week.
Yeah, that's
so
the thing.
we just identified Flowers as a must start, but again, among those four guys, not Flowers.
Yep. So that Michelle asked us, Odunze might be hurt. Him or Travis Hunter?
Interesting. Well, if Odunze isn't hurt, then you know the answer to that question. It's Odunze.
Yep.
So, I don't know how long, what are the times of the games? Do we have that in front of us? Let me take a look real quick.
The Jacksonville, I think, is 1 o'clock. And
Jackson, if they're both at 1, then it's an easy decision for you guys. It's like none of the games are on Sunday night. So, yeah, it's Odunze. Otherwise,
it's Odunze if he plays, and if not, Travis Hunter.
I think it's pretty easy.
That's the way to go.
Yeah.
All right. Next question is Lamar and Pickens or Daniel Jones and Puka. Who wins?
This must be a trade.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is tight right here.
I'm gonna say the better. I'd rather have Daniel Jones and Pickens.
No. Daniel Jones and Puka.
Oh, Daniel Jones and Puka.
Yeah, so it's Daniel Jones and Puka or Lamar and Pickens.
I would. Sorry. Then I'm the one who said it wrong. I would prefer Daniel Jones and Puka.
Yeah,
Puka's the best player in fantasy football.
Yeah, I agree. You're going. I mean, here's the thing with this, right? So Daniel Jones is, he's been very consistent. He had maybe 1 or 2 down weeks, but he's on pretty much the most. I would say the most overall best team in football right now, with the best running back. Puka is commanding anywhere from 12 to 20 targets a game. Pickens, with Ferguson healthy and obviously CD healthy, he's lost a step when it comes down to his targets. He's still producing with his targets. So, he's still good. But then Lamar, you want to see what happens with Lamar. If you can hold off on this trade, you do it. But if not, just I think the Puka and the Daniel Jones side wins.
Absolutely.
All right. So next question, I'm going to scroll down here. Matt Allen says, I just dropped Hawkinson for A.J. Barner. Hope I don't regret it.
You will not regret it. We had T.J. Hawkinson as our number one drop for tight ends.
Yeah.
And I know Tommy doesn't like A.J. Barner, but we
I
all
don't.
hate Hawkinson more.
I don't. Well, and here's the thing, right? So we were talking about Hawkinson being a drop candidate. Now, I do feel that, the highest drop candidate this week. I won't say I regret it, but with J.J. McCarthy being back, he might see anywhere from 1 to 3 target. I'm just kidding. You won't you won't regret that. And honestly, if you got the number one waiver priority, then just pick him right back up.
No, don't do that. No, be happy that you dropped them.
Jalen Lindsay asks, trade Gibbs, London for Dart and Jonathan Taylor. Whew.
Gibbs and London for Dart and Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I don't know what your quarterback situation is there.
You could find a quarterback. I'm gonna say
you can find a quarterback. I would not do that. I would keep Gibbs and London. London, obviously, maybe it's because you're freaking out because he didn't play last week, and maybe he's not going to play this week. Who knows? But London does produce when he plays. He's in there. Gibbs is a high roller as well too. Basically, what you're doing there is you're trading 2 very good players for 1 tremendous player. If I was on the Jonathan Taylor side of it, I would try and get Gibbs in London for that, to be honest.
Absolutely. Yeah, the difference between, I got it, fantasy points notwithstanding, but from a projection perspective, the difference between Taylor and Gibbs is not very big.
Correct. Okay. So, again, touchdowns could regress over time, and
for sure.
Gibbs hasn't been there with the touchdowns as aggressively as he was last year. So,
and Gibbs is post-bye too, by the way.
Yeah. So I'd stick with Gibbs in London. Don't make a knee-jerk reaction there. I traded Bijan for Rice and Swift. Was that good?
Bijan for Rice and for Swift.
I'll say it depends on your league format. Yeah, it depends on your format and league setting. If you got 2 stud wide receivers and you got Swift and you got after you drafted Bijan, you got another running back, then I think you have some stability. But again, it depends on who else you got on that roster. No?
I'm going to say unless you're in a league that is a double flex or 3 wide receivers, I think I would have preferred Bijan there. And it sounds to me like the person who traded with you capitalized on, hey, Bijan had a bad game, let me make this trade.
Yeah, and that's what I've been trying to do all week this week, so it's not working so well. But yeah, I think you should have kept on the Bijan, to be honest. But again, I think you're going to get some pretty decent points from those guys, so hopefully you have some stability if Swift starts dissipating through the rest of the season.
Yep.
Just traded Swift and Devonta Smith for Hall and Sutton. Did I win or lose? Well, with Isaiah Pacheco being out and potentially injured for a week-to-week situation, Breece Hall is looking pretty hot to go over to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes, although it's very difficult to project.
Yeah, we're not. I will say, I would, I wouldn't love to see that, but it would be interesting fantasy-wise to see that. So trading Swift and Devonta Smith for Hall and Sutton, I think honestly that is a really good move.
I think I prefer. Yeah, I would have made that move.
Yeah.
And I think of it from their perspective. Maybe they capitalized on Devonta Smith having that big game.
Correct.
And so making the move. And Sutton is Cortland Sutton. I mean, it's been great.
Sutton is he's the wide receiver 1 on Denver, and Denver is ascending right now. So you gotta have him as your wide receiver. It looks like potentially wide receiver 2 or 3. Depending on how you're moving Devonta Smith,
and I'd rather have Breece Hall than DeAndre Swift. So
100% season long, Breece Hall all day long.
Season long.
Yeah. I mean, especially with Monangai, basically eyeballing Swift a little bit. I feel more comfortable with Hall, especially if he gets traded. Then he's going to be the primary. So, All right. So yeah, there you got it there. Start to Ramondre Stevenson, R.J. Harvey, Genti, and Chase Brown. It's so funny to see Genti being questioned to be traded. Start sit right now. Right, Billy?
He said start. He said, yeah,
Start
absolutely.
two.
He said start two. If Flacco is playing, and he should be playing, you play Chase Brown.
Yeah, he does have an AC joint injury, so just keep an eye out on that. You Chase Brown managers, you may want to pivot, put Chase Brown in a flex position unless you have depth at running back. But if Flacco doesn't play, you can't play Chase Brown.
I would also say, and it's going to make Tommy make a face, but I would say it's hard to sit Ashton Jeanty, especially with those options. You're not going to chase Harvey. We talked about this, Tommy. And Stevenson is the main guy, but it's not as good. So I got it, right, Jeanty, but it's disgusting.
It is slightly disgusting. Yeah, I'm not really a fan of that, but yeah, I'll have to agree with Chase Brown if Flacco plays. So let's just say Jeanty isn't automatic, and Chase Brown is dependent on Flacco. If
Flacco doesn't play,
doesn't play, then
interesting. What would you do? I would go Ramondre for guaranteed production. If you need upside,
I
go
will
Harvey.
say though, I understand what you're saying with Ramondre, but yeah, I mean, I don't chase last week's 3 touchdowns from R.J. Harvey. You have to go with Ramondre, even though that Henderson is slightly cutting into his production. Yeah, so Jeanty is your starter, so that's your first one, and then you're just checking if Flacco plays. If Flacco doesn't play, then pivot to Ramondre Stevenson. If Flacco plays, go Chase Brown.
Yep, agreed.
All right, start 3 of them. Jaylen Warren. So basically, why don't you ask us to place your entire roster? Start 3 of them: Jaylen Warren, Ladd McConkey, Jeanty, Chase Brown. So he needs to start 3 of them. So I assume So 2 of them are probably your running backs, and then and then you're just seeing if you could fit in Ladd. Well, I think you're playing Ladd. I think that. Right? or are you playing all the running backs, and dependent on if Chase Brown is playing or if Flacco's playing, you're playing Ladd over Chase Brown.
That's exactly what I would have said. Right. I'd play all the running backs, but if Flacco's not playing, switch out Chase for Ladd.
Okay. All right. So Billy said again, all the running backs in that question. So the Gib Dog, it's all those running backs. So Jaylen Warren, Jeanty, and Chase Brown. But if Flacco does not play, start Ladd McConkey over Chase Brown.
There you go.
All right. We've already answered that question. Ramondre or Christian Watson? Ooh, that's deep.
Ramondre for guaranteed production, Watson for upside. I would personally, if it was me, I would have a hard time. Although Tommy and I have a slight disagreement on this, I think that the entire Packers pass catchers outside of Kraft is a complete crapshoot. Could be Watson one week, could be Golden one week, and we're still waiting on that one week. It could be Dobbs one week. It's very, very difficult to predict, but when it happens, it feels good. So if you're feeling Watson, if you like the 4 for 4 for 85 on his first game back from last week, go with that. But I would say for the guaranteed production, go ahead and go with Stevenson. That's my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I do like Christian Watson being being in the production early in the game. He did have a decent game for his first game back. I will say though, if this is a PPR, I probably would go Watson, to be honest. So I'm against Philly. If it's a half-point PPR or standard, I mean, even if it's a full point PPR, you might flip the coin because again, whatchamacallit, the Patriots. Who the Patriots going against again?
The Patriots are against the Atlanta Falcons.
They're at Atlanta Falcons at home against at the Patriots' home. Atlanta doesn't play well away. They also don't play well at home apparently since last week. So I think honestly, it's a flip of a coin if it's a full point PPR, but I would probably lean Christian Watson. If it's half point PPR or standard, I go Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, so trade Chase Brown and Wandell for Waddle. No.
Okay, so I saw that come up on my feed, and so I'm going to say no. And the reason is, first of all, I think you could right now just trade Chase Brown for Waddle straight up, and like you could probably even get more than that.
Yeah.
So I get trying to trade Chase Brown and capitalizing now while the going is good for the Bengals. I did the same thing. But you could definitely get more than that. So, for example, I actually just traded Chase Brown straight up for Nico Collins in one league. So you guys could judge that as it is. So you don't need to trade away Wandell. You probably could get Waddle on his own. You could probably get more than that.
Yeah, I agree. Chase Brown and Wandell are very, very high values. I mean, obviously Waddle is very, very big asset as well too, but that's just too much of giving away for a running back, and I assume that you drafted Chase Brown in the second or third round. So, again, we're not talking about draft capital at this point, but again, a player that's ascending, I don't know if I want to move on to him. Really move him away, right?
Yeah, but again, I can understand, trying to capitalize while the going is good. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. But I think that's a bridge too far, though.
All right, so pick 2 quarterbacks for this week. Superflex. You are the 10%er here. 2 quarterbacks this week: Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, and Jackson Dart. That's some good quarterback player there.
I am telling you, I think Bo Nix is a full sit at Houston. So of those options, I think it's Dart and Williams. What do you think?
So if I will say this, if Jaden Daniels plays, I feel like you have to play him.
Right. I think that I'm a bit concerned for that, but yes.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, if Jaden Daniels plays, you got to play him. Even though McLaurin's going to be out again this week, he's been declared out already because of the quad. You got to play him. If he doesn't play, then you're playing Caleb and Dart. But if Jaden Daniels plays, I feel like you go.
You sit Dart at that point. I don't know how you sit Caleb when they're playing the Cincinnati Bengals.
No. I don't know. I think I might play Dart because of what Houston did last week to the 49ers was really weird. Really, really weird. But again, it could be a interesting game there. I think it's Dart over Caleb.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know how anybody sits anybody against the Cincinnati Bengals defense. So
just don't play the Cincinnati Bengals defense because you'll lose negative 10 points.
I think. All right. So Tommy and I have a slight agreement. We both agree that you play.
You play Jaden Daniels, but again, if for some reason he's not playing, I think he'll play. I think it's like a 50-50 right now. But if he doesn't play, then you're playing Caleb and Dart.
And if he does play, I still think you play Caleb and Dart. Tommy thinks that you switch out Caleb for Jaden Daniels. But there you go.
Yeah, there we go. There is a Chase Brown and Wandell question again for Waddle. We're going to move away from that one. This guy's really serious. He asked it 5 times. Marvin Harrison or Wandell?
A trade or to start?
I guess it's start.
Marvin Harrison or Wandell?
It doesn't say
Robinson?
for, it says or.
Well, let's assume it's a start decision. I think it's you play Marvin Harrison playing the Cowboys.
Yeah, you're playing Marvin Harrison there. Let's answer that 5 times. You're playing Marvin Harrison, and playing Marvin Harrison, and playing Marvin Harrison. Got it?
Oh, hang on. You're playing Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, play Marvin Harrison. Play Harrison, please. All right, rank these 3 rest of the season.
Rank your whole team rest of the season.
No, rank these 3 rest of the season. Pickens, Nico, and Ibuka. All right, so I go Nico. I go Nico, Pickens, Ibuka.
I think I agree with you, but
it's very close between Pickens and Ibuka because number one, because Ibuka, you see that there's something happening over there. I don't know what it is. The last 2 weeks, obviously he's been injured, but the last 2 weeks has been really weird. They can't move the ball as nearly as much as you thought they would. Pickens again, it's not the same situation, but it's the healthy situation. Everybody's healthy over there. So we'll see what happens with the bye week for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I think it's Nico, Pickens, Ibuka, and it could reverse that. But Nico is definitely at the top.
Yep, agreed.
This person got offered Gadsden for Harvey. Is that worth it? I don't think
so. So very, very rarely, do we, go above and beyond to try to get onesie positions because you could fill them in, and
unless their name is Trey McBride.
Well, that's a difficult one. These cross positional things. So for the person asking the question, you can ask yourself, are you willing to call your shot? And if you think Harvey is not going to take off for the rest of the year, then go ahead. But if you're tight end needy, especially. But if you have a doubt and you think that he could take it over, or you think that it could be, something happens to Dobbins in some way, absolutely not, because you can piece together the tight end position. The thing is, for Tommy and I, it's like we could have a knee-jerk reaction and say no. It's usually because we see rookie running backs taking off the second half of the year, but it's hard to project that, right, Tommy?
No, I agree. I mean, I personally, I would be on the Harvey side, to be honest. And it's because of, I think he's going to send more towards the end of the year. We're towards the end of the year. So it's scary. It sucks, actually, because it just feels like we were just talking about the draft. Life goes faster when you get older, apparently. So everybody slow it down a little bit. But I think Harvey is my side of it.
My knee-jerk reaction is to keep Harvey for now. Yes, that's my knee-jerk reaction.
Well, it got offered Gadsden for Harvey, so yeah, keep Harvey.
Of that option, yes.
Yeah. All right, so.
Well, yeah, but I get it.
Oh, so a friend offered me Kyren and Nico for Devontae Adams, Ladd, and Pittman. Do I accept? Is it a real friend, or is it a friend that's saying they're your friend?
I'm sure, knowing that was probably their best friend.
Yeah.
Kyren and Nico to be traded away for Devontae Adams.
Actually, Devonta, it just says Devonta, so it's Devonta Smith.
Devonta Smith?
Yeah, it's not Devontae. It's
Smith, Pittman, and what else?
Ladd and Pittman.
That's 3 wide receivers
for Nico,
running back.
For Nico and Kyren.
I'm going to say no.
Yeah, I stick with Nico and Kyren. Don't accept that.
Yeah.
I would. Kyren is probably one of the later guys you drafted. Again, we're not talking about draft, but we're talking about where you position them on your team. So I would assume Kyren probably was your first running back off the board. Don't know how you did waiver wire and stuff like that, so I don't know the rest of your team. I just think Kyren is the most stable running back. He may have his down weeks, but I think he's the most stable running back that can get you anywhere from 12 to 17 points a week easily, if not more. And Nico obviously is coming back healthy. I don't know if I pull the trigger on it.
Nope. And then, generally speaking, I won't even add context. I just agree.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
All right. This actually is a off the topic question. Should I pick up Jaden Reed? Do you have an IR spot?
Yeah. Do you have an IR spot? Otherwise, no. He's got another 5 weeks, man.
Yeah.
You have a lot of buys coming up. You got things going on. No.
Yeah. Do it in 4 weeks.
Yeah. A little bit too close now.
Got offered Achane and Hunter Henry for King Henry and Gadsden. Thoughts? And actually, the person underneath this said instant decline. So, thank you for responding for us. But we're not there yet. We're going to go through this one. So, offered Achane and Hunter Henry for King Henry and Gadsden.
Forget Hunter Henry. So, you got offered Achane for Derrick Henry and Gadsden. Well, I'm going to agree with the commenter and say instant decline.
Yeah.
And it's not an anti-Achane take. It's just, Henry's very close there, and I got it. It hasn't been the best first half of the season, but I think the Ravens are going to be better.
Yeah,
that guy is trying to capitalize.
Yeah, they showed it. They showed it last week. They're going to be better. They have a really nice matchup this week against the Dolphins. Lamar Jackson is back this week. The team is going to be very electric out there. I think it's going to be an awesome, awesome time. And I don't know, remember the last time that they're playing this game in Miami? Remember the last time that there was, I think, week 1 or something like that, Miami Dolphins, I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago.
That's how relevant it is to this.
I know. But this was when everybody was saying that Lamar Jackson cannot throw the ball, and he threw for like 5 or 6 touchdowns that game. So I anticipate them to put up points this week, and I think Derrick Henry is going to be a late round, league winner for y'all. Just hold on to him, or if you're trying to trade him away or try to trade for him, try to get him. I think that's what this guy's doing, because the HN owner is anticipating HN's volume to catch up to him. He is injury prone, so. You're taking a risk if you click that accept. So I would stick with King Henry and Gadsden.
Yep.
Don't swap those Henrys. Would you trade Jonathan Taylor for Ibuka, Jefferson, and RB?
It depends what. It depends what the.
Sorry. Would you trade Jonathan Taylor for Ibuka, Jefferson, and Javonte Williams? I have Barkley and Cook. So I assume this is probably a 10-man league or less.
Yeah.
If you have, if you have Barkley, Cook, and Taylor, it's probably a 10-man league.
What was the other receiver? Ibuka and who else?
Justin Jefferson, and Javonte Williams.
I'm gonna say I would consider it if you really are desperate at wide receiver. But
why not? I would say this. If I were you, I probably wouldn't move on from the best running back in football. But maybe you could.
Yeah.
Maybe you can trade.
You can get more than that.
Maybe you could trade Cook, because his touchdown. There will be a touchdown regression there slightly. Why don't you trade?
I agree.
Why don't you trade Cook for Javonte Williams and Jefferson?
Right, or Cook for some kind of wide receiver value. Yeah, it's hard to walk away from Taylor right now.
Yeah, I would probably change that, swap that out a little bit, and I understand everybody wants Jonathan Taylor, but a lot of people do want James Cook as well too. So I'd go that route.
Yep.
All right, next question. This is a 10-man. 10-man. I don't know. I don't understand. I guess he's asking if this lineup is good. So he's got Drake May, JSN, Sutton, CMC, Jonathan Taylor, Warren, Gadsden, and Pinheiro, and Pat's defense. I don't want to poo-poo on 10-man leagues, because every 10-man league is good. But this is a good team right here. So congratulations. CMC, JT, and JSN, congratulations.
Yeah, we're not going to poo-poo on it. It's a good team.
Good team.
No other context about his whole league, but it sounds like a good team.
Yep, we're moving on. Pick 2, flex. So this is a flex. This is a double flex right here.
Okay.
We got Josh Downs, Chris Olave, Quentin Judkins, and Debo. That's all right. I'm moving. Downs is going down from this one here, so I'm between Olave, Judkins, and Debo. Well,
Judkins is on a bye.
Yeah, Judkins on a bye. Oh no, sorry. QJ, I guess then that's Quentin Johnson?
Quentin Johnston.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so Olave and Debo.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Olave
Although I can understand the Johnston thing. He'll have his games, but yeah, I would go the other way.
Holy moly, we have 63 new messages. All right, so Billy, we might be on here for a minute.
Why don't we try to blitz through some of these?
That's what we're trying to do right now.
Let's blitz them.
So we got Garrett Wilson and Kareem Hunt for Drake London.
I'd prefer
Drake London.
I prefer Drake London, but what else was Garrett Wilson giving away?
With Kareem Hunt.
I prefer Drake London, although I do think Garrett Wilson has a nice second half of the year.
Yeah, Drake London. All right, so Marv, Diggs, Tet, Adam. I don't know if Marv, Tet, Adam. I don't know if it's Adams, Zay, and Pitt. Start 4, please. Oh my God.
Start 4.
All right, just ask me start 7. Just give me the quarterback too. All right, so start 4. So I'm taking out of this here. I don't know if that's Adam Thielen or Devontae Adams, but so I'm just gonna.
I'm guessing it's.
I'm cutting him out.
No, I'm guessing it's Devontae Adams. You starting Marvin Harrison, we know that.
Yeah, Marvin Harrison. You're starting. You're starting Tet McMillan.
You're starting.
You're starting Kyle Pitts because if London doesn't play, Pitts has been on a roll with targets. And it's just I guess it's between. Is that Adams, Devontae Adams? If it's Devontae Adams, you're starting Devontae Adams. If it's Adam Thielen, then you're starting Zay Flowers. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right.
Although I would start Zay Flowers over Pitts if it's a flex decision, but
I guess the owner of the question of the QJ said, I feel like sitting out QJ full sit. Yeah, sit Quentin Johnson. I guess it also depends on who you're sitting him for, but yeah. Billy, you still there or I lose you? All right, so the next question is, Billy, you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, well, you turn up your mic and you go gone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So flex, we got Woody Marks, Bowers, and Higgins. So T. Higgins, Woody Marks, and Bowers. I'm a little nervous. If I'm really nervous if Joe Flacco. Yeah, if Joe Flacco.
A lot of these questions, we have to blitz this stuff.
Yeah, I know. I mean, but we gotta answer the question. We gotta figure it out. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not playing Woody Marks here. Yeah, I'm not playing Woody Marks here. I'm either between Bowers and Higgins, and I'll play Bowers if Flacco doesn't play. If Flacco does play, then I'm playing Higgins.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. We got Marvin Harrison. All right, we already answered. That's the 4-1. We already answered that one. All right, start 3. Travis Etienne, Jalen Warren, Bam Knight, Butte. Start 3. So you're starting Travis Etienne. You're starting Jalen Warren, and now it's between Bam Knight and Butte. This is a tough one. I think I might go touches, and I start Bam Knight over Butte.
Yep, playing the Dallas Cowboys, I agree.
Yeah. All right. Trade away London and Bucky for Justin Jefferson and Judkins. Yeah, I do that.
I would do that too.
Yeah. So Jefferson and Judkins there. Flex Bowers. Oh, we already did that one. We already did that one. It's a duplicate. That's duplicate. Wandell for ETN.
I would take Travis Etienne.
Yes, take Travis Etienne. If that's been sent to you, take it now. Do it now. They need a running back. They have Collins, Sutton, Addison, T. Higgins. Yeah, I mean, yeah. If that's been sent to you, take it immediately. Click accept. Please share and subscribe to us, please, as well too.
Click accept.
Next. Same question. There's a lot of duplicates here, so we might be rolling through these a little bit faster than expected.
Nice.
Do I start Gadsden or Khalil Shakir at flex? I have Tucker Kraft at starting tight end. I go Khalil Shakir here.
Oh my gosh. I think I go. That's a toss-up for me because Khalil Shakir, is by far the best receiver there. But again, sometimes it's a crapshoot with how Allen throws the stuff.
Let me tell you something right now. They're playing
Gadsden for guaranteed.
They're playing Kansas City in They're playing Kansas City in Buffalo. Shakir.
I think I would do Gadsden, but there you go. You flip a coin. They're both good options.
Okay. Next question that's the 4 question again. Sometimes these get duplicated, so all right, that's duplicated there. All right, Pickens or DK this week? I go DK.
I go DK.
We already got that one. All right, so CMC, Pittman, and Ferguson for Justin Jefferson, Barkley, and McBride.
Oh my God, these gigantic trades.
Yeah, I go Jefferson, Barkley, McBride.
I agree.
And again, if that was sent to you, click accept now. And also, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you. Do I start that? Yes, we already answered that one. Trade away London and Bucky. Trade away London and Bucky for Justin Jefferson and Judkins.
Yeah, we answered that one. Yes, we said yes to that.
Jefferson and Judkins. Achane and Baker for Gibbs and Lamar, even with Lamar's hammy.
Achane and Baker for Gibbs
and Lamar.
I'm going to say yes. Gibbs has passes by, and we think Gibbs is better than Achane anyway.
And so is Lamar's passes by and hopefully passes injuries. So go Gibbs and Lamar. Okay, so we got that. We already went over that one. Marv, Diggs, Tet, Adams, Zay, and Pitt start 4. Oh.
Marv, Zay, Pitt.
We already answered. We already answered this one. They asked it again. Adrian Baker. Trade away that. We already did that one. Should I sell Justin Jefferson, or is McCarthy good for him?
That's an interesting question. For Justin Jefferson is quarterback agnostic.
Yeah.
So it depends on what kind of a person you're willing to get for him. So when you say sell, it means like, what's the haul? You know?
Yeah, it depends on what you're getting in return. Honestly, I just don't know if I would sell him unless you're getting a haul in return. And a haul is like a wide receiver 1 and in return with a maybe running back 2, right?
Take it like this. We probably see Jefferson as a top 10 tight end rest of year, not a top 5. So if you can get somebody in return that you think is going to be a top 10 and maybe something else or a higher than that, go for it. If you don't, then don't.
All right, next question is Cook, Odunze, and Stevenson for Bijan and Wandell. That's a lot of running back. Yeah, I feel like that's too much running back I'm giving, and I'm pretty much. I mean, Bijan is great, but I feel like Cook is still like slightly below him on a really good team. I'm not sure.
What was the third player? Cook, Odunze, and who else?
Stevenson for Bijan and Wandell.
Yeah, I could see it. I could see it. If you believe like we believe, like that there's some level of regression with Cook coming. And if you think it's a major regression, then go for it. If you think he's going to be, like Tommy said, just not as good as Bijan, but semi-close, then don't.
All right. Next question is, I just traded Gadsden for Troy, I guess that's Franklin, and Bucky Irving. Yes, you won. Congratulations. Yes, you won that. Where is he reading these questions? I'm reading them out actually on the chat. If you scroll down. Same question. Bro, read my context gag. Just did it.
I have a hard stop in 10 minutes, so if we want to blitz through this stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it. I have a hard stop too. I'm just trying to. A lot of these are duplicates right now. Gadsden or Bowers? We already answered that one. It was right.
It was Gadsden.
Yeah, it was Gadsden.
But we're excited about Bowers rest of the season.
I got Brian Thomas Jr., Wilson Flowers, Allen Boutte. Oh. Okay.
Nice team.
Good job. Nice team. Nice wide receivers. Cook and Odunze. We already answered that one. No Johnston. Woody Marks or Kareem Hunt?
For this game or rest of season?
No, it's just for this game. Dr. Pepper Crow.
I'm going to say for this game, I'm going to say Kareem Hunt because of the Pacheco injury thing. Yes.
Yeah, with this Pacheco injury thing, Kareem Hunt, unless somehow Breece Hall finds his way over there in the next couple days.
But he won't.
He won't.
Next week.
Yeah, next week maybe. We got that. Rate my 12-man team: Herbert, Sutton, Wandell, Jonathan Taylor, Gibbs, What? Brandon Aubrey and Pitts. So you got Jonathan Taylor, Gibbs, and Barkley. I mean, you're putting up points every single week. Not needing a wide receiver, so your team is great.
I don't know how he got all three of them.
One of them had to been through a trade. So basically, he had to trade his top wide receiver for it. Next question is Dak Prescott or Goff, Jared Goff. This week, this week they are playing. The Lions are playing Minnesota, and Dak is playing at the Cardinals. That's a tough one. I do think though Dak is the better play.
I think Dak. For sure.
Got Darnold or Purdy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Darnold.
Yeah, I think it's a tough game for Darnold, but they just had the bye. They're back. I think that you go on. You play him, especially with Purdy coming back from an injury. He's going against a tough Giants defense, front 7, 8, 9, whatever you want to call it. I go that route. So Darnold over Purdy. Trade Chase Brown and Wandell for Waddle. We already answered that question. Don't do it. This is actually the last question, and then we're closing shop.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we got Keenan Allen, Shakir, or DK. Pick one. Last final question here. Sorry, we got one more question. But we're not taking any more questions after the Colin question. So, Keenan Allen, Shakir, or DK. Yeah, start DK there. Colin, last and final question. Sorry if anybody asks any more questions, but we're closing on this one right here. Trade Ted McMillan, Chase Brown for St. Brown. I do it.
I would do it too.
Yeah, I do it.
Yes, I would do it too.
All right, guys.
I was trying to think of any downside. No, I can't.
No, I don't think any downside there. Well, we appreciate everybody that joined us. If you could please subscribe to our channel, click the link. That's great. But we also have a link in our bio. It takes you directly to our YouTube channel. If you could subscribe to that, we do drop a lot of content on that as well too. Do pre-recorded shows. We put all our live content over there so you can review it as well too. We appreciate everybody joining us and have a great night.
Good night. Thank you, everybody.